Everybody, thanks for watching. Now, we have to be more mindful about what we put in our body. Now, I did a video before on, food. What the fuck are they doing to our food? And I showed you, these people are seriously trying to kill us. They're putting things in food that would seriously cause health issues. A lot of the times we don't worry about what goes into the food. As long as the food tastes good, people generally do not care. A lot of people are really suckered in by ads and by cheap food. And a lot of people just can't really afford nor have the knowledge to go and buy the type of foods that their body really need. Now, one of the things that's crazy is you wouldn't think that, people would actually do such a thing to food, to contaminate food and to, use low cost tactics to basically save money, but at the cost of people's health. You think that, when you see commercials, when you walk into a supermarket, you would think, there's some kind of law in place that will basically hinder these people from putting any kind of, harmful stuff in foods. Even stuff that you won't feel the effects of, immediately, long term. So you will see, when you start looking at a lot of people, once they reach a certain age, 65 and up, when you start paying attention to the types of diseases these people, have. Brain diseases, Alzheimer's, dementia. Things like this is what we find commonly dealing with people, past a certain age. Heart disease, heart problems. And all this stuff stems from food. Poor eating habits, poor diets, and what you put in your body. You have people who consume far too much complex carbohydrates, which basically is going to lead to poor health. It's going to lead to fatigue. It's going to lead to heart issues, brain issues. You can't consume too much of these foods. Consuming too many complex carbohydrates can result in memory loss and a lot of brain diseases. It can cause plaque on the brain. And there's so many different processed foods that we find as being a source, to these problems, to things like Alzheimer's and dementia. So a lot of people don't realize that, a lot of these corporations are putting things in the food that has effects on the brain and on the heart and on your muscles, over time. Now, when it comes to people being vegan or being vegetarian, I do not knock any of these people, not one bit. It's one of the things that if you understand what they're doing to the food, but you understand that there are nutrients, as I talked about before, there are nutrients in meat that you can only get from meat that is good for the brain. I talked about this before, but if you understand that and you understand, one, that you can't really find foods to supplement some of these nutrients, and there's not many supplements out there to you can take in place of meat. And you have to understand, one, that these nutrients are very important. And when you find patients with Alzheimer's and dementia, when they look at the brain, they find that there's a severe deficiency of these nutrients in the brain, which causes the brain to shrivel up, which causes the brain to basically lose connections. When you see people with Alzheimer's and dementia, the cells in the brain are basically dead. They begin to die. And it's a severe deficiency of these nutrients that is the cause of this. So, what can you trace this stuff back to? A lot of the patients, a lot of the people who have eaten meat, they are meat eaters, they are not vegans or vegetarians, but the problem is the type of meat that they're eating, the meat that they're consuming that is not giving them a natural source of these vitamins and nutrients. It's not giving them these vitamins and nutrients because they're dead in the meat that they're eating. So when you eat these processed foods, these processed meats, and this is all you consume, then this is the problem that you have. You have to pay attention to what they have done. Now, I talked about the laws they have passed. It's illegal for you not to follow the guidelines of the FDA. And when you understand what the FDA wants as far as processing food and, putting out food to the public, it's insane. It's insane. They really support pesticides and all kinds of chemicals used in meats and used in foods. I talked about the bovine growth hormone that they put in the cows, you know, for the milk, and how the bovine growth hormone is just horrible. It's just something that you definitely don't want to consume when you understand what it is. Now, yes, you need calcium. Calcium is good for the bones, and you can supplement calcium with calcium pills, of course. But calcium is an important nutrient for the bones for grown folks. When you are young, when you get to a certain age, of course, you feed from your mother. But, you know, of course, when you stop feeding from your mom, you're supposed to supplement that calcium with milk, which is why they always try to push milk on the children to get this calcium. The problem is, again, when you use cow's milk, and when you use this milk that has all kinds of chemicals and horrible stuff in it, you are not really getting the nutrients you need for the body. You may get calcium, but what is the point of getting calcium when you're getting a whole bunch of other horrible diseases, horrible chemicals from this milk that's hurting the rest of your body? So these are things that we got to pay attention to and look at and see that, remember, the agenda is to get you out of here as fast as possible. Fast as possible. You hit 65 and you start getting these diseases, you're on your way out the door. And in some cases, some people can get through them and they can deal with them, and they can have treatments to help them, live the rest of their life with Alzheimer's and dementia, what have you. But for the most part, people who suffer from it don't have the money to keep up with, the cost of the medicines and the treatments or what have you. A lot of people don't have the family members there to really deal with people with these types of diseases. So they get, thrown by the wayside, or they're not properly treated and they end up passing. This is something that I don't want to see happen to people. And we are, if you are in my age bracket, I'm 35, about to be 36 soon. If you in my age bracket, if you're getting up there in age, you need to understand what you probably have been consuming for most of your life, that the effects are going to start to show up pretty soon. So now here's the thing. We know with meat, you have these nutrients, you have these vitamins. We know we have docosahexaenoic acid, or DHA. We have taurine. We have vitamin B12, we have vitamin D3, we have creatine, we have other nutrients, we have other proteins that we get from meat. Now the thing is, again, when you do not have a natural supply of these nutrients and other nutrients as well as a bunch of them, then this is when you start having problems. The supplement that you're getting from this contaminated meat, from these bad foods, is not truly helping the brain. It's breaking the brain down over time. So what they have basically done is kind of sort of take out the good nutrients in meat, or contaminate the good nutrients in meat. So instead of it doing what it's supposed to do as far as, helping the brain, the heart, the muscles, or what have you, it is slowly breaking it down over time. These people are sick. You have to understand this. They are sick, disgusting people. We all understand it. But they're replacing it. They're replacing these nutrients with contaminated nutrients, so to speak. It's tough to explain without getting really deep into it, but it's something I have been looking into for a long time. When I had a video about food, I really got into some of the things, but I think most people now have a general understanding about what we can expect from food in America from these corporations. Now, when you look at taurine is an amino acid. It's found in meat, found in fish, and it's an amino acid. It's also in Red Bull. It's what they was talking about as saying that Red Bull has bull urine or bull semen in it. It was the taurine they was talking about, but it's not, bull urine or bull piss or what have you. It's crazy. But taurine is actually an amino acid that actually happens very commonly in the body. About 70%, I believe, of our body naturally produces taurine. But you find it in Red Bull, you find it in meat or what have you, and it helps the brain. It stimulates the brain, it stimulates the muscles, it helps the heart, it helps your eyes. So it's not something that is bad, but it's something that you're really going to need to have when you eat meat. It's something you're going to need to have for the body. Even though the body produces it, what helps produce it is meat. But you can supplement some of this stuff, of course. believe it or not. But, you know, a lot of people drink Red Bull, and some of these energy drinks supposedly contain nutrients, but they have a really high dose of sugar, and, you know, they have issues with that stuff. It's stuff that, you know, you just shouldn't mess with. And it's tough to tell people, you know, what they should and shouldn't put in their body, which is why I don't like to say, eat this, eat that. It's just, you have to have a basic knowledge about what the body needs and what the body must have in order to function properly. When you look at a label and you don't recognize none of that stuff, and it's not all natural, it's something you shouldn't put in your body. If you understand the nutrients that your body naturally produces and what you should put in your body as far as nutrients, vitamins, and everything like that, this is what you should see. And some of the stuff is, you know, they try to say is a supplement for those nutrients. And, you know, you can have supplement for those nutrients, but what you really want something that's not completely natural for your body. And these are the issues that we have. These are the issues that we face. So, you know, taurine definitely is one that is good. We know that people who have Alzheimer's and schizophrenia and all these debilitating diseases or what have you, they always find like it's a lack, you know, creatine, it's a lack of vitamin D12, which you can supplement some of the stuff, as I keep saying. D3, we know about D2 you find in plants, but D3 you can supplement with sunlight. We know docosahexaenoic acid is basically really important as far as normal brain development. It's important as being one of the omega-3 fatty acids that you really have, you know, these acids. And fatty acids are important to just, you know, survival, to living. And it is really important in children to have these omega-3 fatty acids and, you know, help with normal production of the child's brain. And all this stuff is, you know, just contaminated and just, you know, messed up in a lot of these foods that we've been finding in local supermarkets. And you have what they call white foods, you know, white bread, sugar, flour, white rice. A lot of these things are linked to Alzheimer's later on in life. And it's a lot of foods that, you know, we found processed cheeses and, you know, Cheese Whiz and sausages and things like that. All these processed meats and foods, all of this stuff is linked to Alzheimer's. All of this stuff is just bad for you and created, you know, to get you out of here. You know, they made this stuff a long time ago, and we've been consuming these foods for most of our lives. You know, our parents gave us this stuff without knowledge of what it does to us. And a lot of people I have a lot of people who I know, you know, dying in their 30s. A lot of people are checking out of here because of, you know, food, because of their diet. It is stupid to die in your 30s because of some shit that you ate, because you ate too much Chinese food. And you have to understand what the stuff does to the body over time and how the stuff is building up on the brain in ways that you don't see yet. And they can't go in, you know, when a person has Alzheimer's, when they have dementia, they can't just go and operate on the brain. This stuff they found out later after the person passes, when they start seeing the symptoms and, you know, problems that the brain had. So this is stuff that now you might not be seeing the effects of unless it's really, really bad, but stuff that's going to show up later on. You know, you have, you know, nitrites. Nitrites they find in bacon, beer. You know, processed foods, again, nitrites is seriously harmful. It can cause, you know, memory loss. It's linked with dementia and Alzheimer's or what have you. It's linked to a lot of brain diseases and heart diseases like Parkinson's, and people start, you know, developing depression and, you know, fatigue problems and a lot of physical issues because of this food. And it's just stuff that, you know, we're not really paying attention to, and we need to be a lot more mindful of, because we get so distracted by everyday life that we are not really paying attention 100% to what we put in our body. It's not enough of this kind of information going around to get people to really understand the effects, you know, of food. Now, I want to give a shout out to Diana Harris, who's taking care of her father who has Alzheimer's. She was a person who contacted me and said, you know, you need to talk about this a little bit more. You know I've lost somebody who I knew to Alzheimer's, and I know friends who have as well. And it's something you got to start thinking about. It's a light bulb that, you know, went off in my head when Diana contacted me, because I was like, damn, you know what? You know, it's like over the last few years, like 4 people that I've known, you know, that was up there in age, you know, aunts and, you know, friends, aunts and grandparents or what have you, who passed because of this. So it's like, what the hell, you know? And when you have people that live in, you know, inner city, and you understand the type of foods that is sold there, and that, you know, when you get to a certain age, when you get comfortable with certain foods, you tend to keep getting this stuff, and that's the problem. And, you know, having a favorite food is like, you know, it's an addiction. Food is an addiction. Just like a person who has a drinking problem or a drug problem, it's tough to get through to them. You tell them to stop, you tell them to quit. You know, they make up stuff. They try to find ways to justify their addiction. And when it comes to food, we do the same thing. You know, food makes people happy, and you don't want to take something away from somebody that makes them happy. It's tough to do that.